everyone. Happy Saturday. Happy full moon. Full moon in Virgo. I think it already happened. Hi, Cormac. Hi, Kimberly, Dennis, Ren. Good to see you. I'm just going to wait for a few more of you to show up into the live stream. And I'm going to then get into this video, which I received a bit of a download on Thursday while I was taking my first day off in a very long time. And I put off doing it Thursday because I really needed a day off. Really needed it. So can you guys let me know if you're getting this, because it's not showing me. Oh, okay. It is now showing me it just as I said that. Okay. Hi, Rainbow Sun. Hi, Stacy. All right. So we're good. It's coming through. Yeah. YouTube's been doing some funny stuff with my streams lately. So how's everyone doing today? I've had a lot of questions from my one podcast that I did, podcast 192 on freedom beyond the smoke and mirrors. And so I'm going to address quite a few of those questions today. Some of the more basic ones, and show you. I'm gonna actually do a little tutorial for you guys in a bit so that you guys understand where to get all of your information, how to go about all of this, if this is something you choose. And I just want to reiterate for everyone that this is in no way legal advice. This is just me showing you an option. Whatever you decide to do with it is of your own free volition and your own will. This is something that I believe deserves some attention. And from everything that I've seen, it looks like the most viable option forward. But again, that's not going to be for everyone, just like anything in life. So first I want to talk about the parasitic system of the matrix. And this was something that I received a download on, that I was really being asked to put more attention on for all of you who are understanding this, wanting to know more information, and wanting to truly become sovereign and free from the system, so to speak. So one of the first things that I can't even speak this morning. Okay, so one of the first things we have to understand, when a parasitic system needs a host, right? A parasite needs a host in order to survive, in order to thrive, in order to flourish and grow. This system is very codependent in nature, okay? A parasite cannot live unless it has someone else's energy to live off of. Now, I've done a ton of videos on negative entities and the parasitic nature of negative entities. This is basically very similar in theory. It applies to this very nature of the system, because the system is very parasitic in nature. So codependency is something that cannot be, it cannot exist in a sovereign system, okay? Codependency requires people to be dependent on one another. Now, there's a difference between being independent, codependent, and interdependent, okay? So the system of sovereignty relies on interdependence. While all people get to have their own independence, there is an interdependent relationship where we can lean on one another, but by no means is your leaning on one another hijacking someone else's sovereignty or freedom, okay? It doesn't take away from someone else. It's a system that works in conjunction, in cohesion with one another. It's a very symbiotic system. And so what we're living in right now, the matrix the only way it survives is if it continues to live off its host. And its host is you, it's me, it's everyone who's part of it. And what happens when a parasite has its host is it begins to drain your energy and your resources in order to fulfill its own desires and needs to thrive, correct? So what ends up happening is that as soon as there is a parasite in the system, all of your energy goes to that source first. It doesn't care about your needs. It cares about its needs first and foremost. You are absolutely secondary. You're probably even less than secondary, but it will always take your energy first before you ever get what you need. And we can see that in our system right now. We can see if you're a taxpayer, you'll see, even just when it comes to all these things, anything that you're asking for or the needs of the people really are not listened to. Well, they're listened to, but they're not acted upon. Everything comes down to what's in it for me first, right? All those who are in positions of power right now, who are the parasites or acting on the parasites' needs, are looking out for self. Now, parasitic energy is very much like narcissism, okay? Narcissism only cares about itself first. Narcissism will usually disguise its actions, giving you the impression that it's doing for you, helping for you, while all the underlying intentions are fulfilling its needs. It's very sneaky. Now, we can see all of this happening within the matrix, within the system that is definitely parasitic. And eventually what a narcissist will do will eventually drain your energy so much. When you look at the narcissist empath relationship, okay, what a narcissist will eventually do is drain the empath of a lot of their energy, a lot of their resources through a lot of emotional ups and downs. Okay, and other things too, but we won't get into that, to eventually wear you down so much that you are convinced that you need the narcissist in your life in order to survive. And that's basically what the system has done. And so this parasite has convinced many of us that in order for us to survive, we need its rules, its system to work. Okay, so in order for us to break free of the system, it's very, very simple what needs to happen. And however that path is for you, okay, and however way you choose to do that, all it means is that you no longer feed the parasite. You no longer give the parasite your energy, your resources, in many different formats, okay? Whatever that may be, whether it's your time, your money, your health, your physical expenditure, okay? All of those different things. And I will say that part of this, when you talk about timeline creation, okay, when we talk about positive timeline creation and what it is that you choose to manifest for yourself in this current reality, one of the things that we're experiencing right now are timeline wars. We're experiencing timeline wars, which means we're constantly being pulled into a reality to help co-create it via mainly social media. Okay, any kind of media, whether it's TV, movies, social media platforms, and constantly being engaged in that. It is, if you're not consciously aware of it, you'll not even notice that your energy and your focus is all going into these areas that are helping to basically fight against the actual timeline that you're probably trying to create consciously on your own time. And so part of this process is not just pulling your energy out of, say, the political or governmental systems, but also understanding What happens when you pull your energy out of all of those media systems that are all attached to this one parasitic system? Okay. So really paying attention to your energy levels, paying attention to what changes as soon as you engage in, maybe it's just scrolling through Instagram, maybe it's scrolling through Facebook or Twitter, or maybe it's even certain Telegram group chats or whatever it is. And maybe it's certain videos you're watching on YouTube. Maybe it's a movie that you're watching or a TV show that you find yourself watching. Whatever it is, pay attention to your energy field. Pay attention to the subtle changes, your mood. Where did you just go emotionally? Where do you find your thoughts being pulled to even when you're not watching it and engaging it? Is it still pulling on you even when you're trying to focus on something else? And that's how you'll know where you're anchoring your energy into, that's still creating that parasitic energy, like an energy cord, okay, to keep feeding, to pull on your energy and feed it into the system. It requires a lot of conscious awareness and effort on our part to disengage with anything that's pulling our energy away from wanting to create the positive timelines of a planet and a place for humanity and all other lives that live on this planet that is in harmony with one another. Because that's ultimately what we want. We want our harmony, we want sovereignty, we want freedom, we want unity. Okay? So this is just something to pay attention to in understanding the parasitic nature of the entire system. It's not just about one thing, it's about all things and how it pulls you in and it keeps you stuck in and makes you almost believe that you need it or you can't break free without it, through even the narcissistic energy of it. So what I want to do right now is I want to go into, I'm going to open up my screen here. One second. Okay. So as you guys can see, I'm just going to come over here. This is the AmericanStatesAssembly.net website that I left in that video. This is the website that you guys will want to visit to get a lot of information here. You'll get information on Anna von Reitz. And there are videos here. This from Eye of the Wizard is a great one. Understanding your government. And so you're going to want to scroll all the way through down there to get some information. There's a lot of great information here. A lot of you guys have asked me questions on where to go. I will say that, I left all of these links in the description. And let me just quickly go back, actually. Let me just go back here. I just want to say, first and foremost, that one of my observations from that first video is that it really highlighted to me how much we're used to being spoon-fed information and told where to go. I had left all of the links in the description below, and I can't tell you how many people commented asking, where do I find this information? And I even told you guys in the video, and this isn't directed to everyone, I'm just making an observation so that we understand what we're fighting against, what we're up against. This is a conscious war. Okay, this is a conscious awareness, spiritual war that we're up against. And how little effort people were willing to do to even just click on the description thing to open it to see where all the links were. Also, not listening to the entire video before asking questions, because a lot of those questions were answered throughout the video. So I'm only saying this not to take a dig at anyone, but for us to understand what we have to overcome when it comes to breaking free of the mental prison that most of us are sitting in how we operate just from a place of not even knowing how to do our own research, not even knowing how to dig and to go to basic things to look for what you need to look for, okay? I just want to make that statement only because I noticed it, which made me realize, wow, a lot of people aren't used to looking for their information no matter what side of the fence you think you're sitting on, okay? So let's go back to Oh, what just happened here? Okay, let me just see if it's going to pull that up. Yeah, it did. Okay. So the next so now I told you guys you can go to this website, the American States Assembly. Over here on webinar, when you click this tab, okay, webinar tab, it opens up to here. This is another video, okay, from Anna Von Reitz. And down here gives you exactly all the information to join the weekly Monday night webinar that I told you guys about. Okay, now all you have to do is click on this link every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and you get into the Zoom call. Now, the Zoom call is important because in this, she answers a lot of questions that people have. And on top of that, there's a chat going on where you can talk to people within the chat and ask them questions, especially if you're in another country, okay? Because there's no way for me to know what works in all the other countries around the world. But you may be there may be people in the chat who can link you to those people, or you may actually be in luck that someone who's from your country is already in that chat and has some information on how to connect. We have to work together by starting to draw certain connection points, like network linking, to understand how to work together on this, okay? Now, if you have questions that you would like answered on the webinar, okay? See down here, info@theamericanstatesassembly.net. This is where you would send your questions to, okay? Now, this is just a video of her chair. Now below, if you scroll down, you also have all of the webinars are archived here. All of them are archived. Now, I would suggest that you go and watch February 8th, 2021. Okay, watch this webinar and click on that, because I watched that one before I did the video with you guys. And there's an incredible story that you guys will all want to listen to about what happened to one of the tribal chiefs that Anna is working with. I believe he's from the Lakota tribe. I may be incorrect. It may be the other tribe. And what he had to go through in order to get to, and how he was just, it's a very interesting story, and it's very heartfelt. But to understand what we're up against, and to know that it's important for us to all come together in whatever way that is. If it's not this, maybe it's something else for you, okay? I'm not saying that this is the only way to go. I right now, personally, within my own heart, this to me feels like the most viable path. But again, that's from my personal view and the research that I've done and what I've access so far. It may be different for you, and you're going to have to make that decision on your own. Now, also, if you click over here on 50 states, okay, you're going to be taken to this website, the states, americanstatenationals.org. And this is what it looks like. the states of the American States Assembly. And this is how you can find what state, okay, you need to go to. You just click on whichever one it is, and you will be taken to your state coordinator, okay? And you can email them. That's who you should be talking to. Whatever state you're living in right now, that is the state that you want to reach out to get information on. Now, when it comes to when you scroll down, let me just go down here. You scroll down, there's tons of links here for more education. Guys, I can't tell you how much information are on these websites. You'll be kept busy for months just going here and learning. And I know some of you have reached out to me and you've dove in, you're putting all of your energy into understanding and learning, and I think that's great, because there's no way for you to make a really good decision about this for you until you're properly educated. I want to state, no one should ever make a decision that is this big based on just a few pieces of information. You should really do your research and understand the process completely. Okay, you can go here to search for more of Anna's articles, which are done by number. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's videos down here, okay? Remember, common law community, this is what we have to educate ourselves on: common law, not civil law. And there are more things if you go all the way. Now, this course right here that I've just clicked on, the SIA, the SIA study course, okay? This I highly recommend. I believe it's a $25 donation to take the course, but it will give you everything that you need to understand, okay? It's imperative. In fact, anyone who's really seriously considering doing this, you should go through this course first. And really understand. And that's where you're going to get a lot of deep understanding on what's actually going through here. Now, when it comes to your paperwork, you go to correct your status, which if you're back over on this, okay, you would click on correct your status and it will take you over here. So this is the one-page declaration, 1779 Naturalization Act. Okay, so you're going to scroll down. There's a lot of information here, okay? I'm just going to take you all the way down to the bottom so that you guys know exactly where to go. Here are all the documents, okay? Now, the first one is for those of you who were born, okay, born in the States. This is the one that you would be filling out. If you are someone who's naturalized from living in another country and you're in the States, okay, then you would be filling out this form. And if you work for the government, okay, you're a federal employee, this is a form that you would want to be filling out. Okay, there's 3 separate forms here. Now, for those of you who were born in another country but have immigrated to the States, and the requirements for you to be able to do this process are you have to be must have lived in the States for 7 years, and you must have held a green card for 7 years, okay? Now, that is the requirement for that. It also, I want to say, this also applies to those of you who are born outside of America. If you're an American, but you were born outside of the country, like to parents maybe working at an embassy in a different country, a U.S. embassy in another country, that still applies to you. You are still eligible for this, okay? Now, it's important that you contact your state recorder before you fill out any of this information. You really want to understand this because you actually can't sign this document until you're in front of your recorder. They need to witness you signing it. As well as the witness forms, you're going to need 2 witnesses to declare that if they've known you for 7 years at a minimum, and it will have to be notarized, which can be done in front of your state recorder or your coordinator, and online, like if they're witnessing through like a Zoom call, or that's possible as well. But they have to witness the witnesses signing the document themselves in order for that to be valid. Okay. And then there's other paperwork here that if you have children, if you're married, all of this other stuff, I just highly recommend, guys, that you contact your state coordinator first before you do anything and start understanding the process here. It's really important that you get involved in that way. And do understand that there are people are under extreme. There's not as many people who are holding positions within the assembly that you would maybe hope that there would. And this is the reason why we need more people to assemble. If this is a path that you feel in your heart and you've done your research and this is the way you want to go, to hold a position to help us form the assemblies. That's what's important so that we can help more people and start building the communities. And that goes into court systems, sheriffs, teachers, schools, medical systems, all of that. So if you've got talents in all of those areas and this is something you feel like we need your help, like they need your help. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about who Anna is. And if you're concerned, I highly recommend you get this book, okay? Because it discloses full disclosure of who she is and how she's worked with the Pope in the past. There's a lot of misinformation out there that's basically smearing her. And it's to be expected whenever anyone's, I guess, going up against the system, then there are usually smear campaigns to discredit that person. Now, that's going to be something that you're going to have to decide what's true and what's not true. But I highly recommend you read this book, okay, if you want to learn more about that for your own discernment, your own due diligence. and you'll get a deeper understanding of everything there, and you'll be able to see how it's misconstrued and misrepresented in other articles about her to smear her. Okay? So that's one book that I would highly suggest. Now, for those of you who are wondering about the birth certificate, I linked this in the last video in the comments, but I'm bringing it up here because this is a great article by Dr. Paul Farms, who's a PhD entrepreneur. And he wrote this article describing that how the birth certificate works and how you become a commodity, okay, because of it. So I've also put this link in the description of this particular video down below so you can read this article for yourself and go through it. There's a lot of information here. And he talks about the importance of this. Now, I'm just going to really quickly scroll down to the bottom, so I'm sorry if it's giving you a headache. But he goes over right here of what happens when you declare yourself sovereign. Okay, now, this is something you could do on your own, but these are the things this is how you basically can, unattach, pull yourself free, take the shackles off. These are all the different things that can go through. Okay. So this link is also in the description below for you guys to read further. Now, I just want to go over couple other things here that were questions that were brought up on in the comments below that other video that I did. And people are asking, well, how does anyone know if you are like a state national or a state citizen, American state national or American state citizen? And there are a difference between the two. If you are an American state citizen, it allows you to hold a position within the assemblies. Okay. If you're just going to be an American state national, then you can be part of all of the different processes. You have your freedoms, but if you really want to help and be part of holding a position and helping the community grow, then you would become an American state citizen. So, when you go through all the paperwork, okay, and if this is something that you end up doing, what happens is that you get your ID card, and you get an ID card, and your photo's on there, and it states your name, all of that. And on the back of the card, there's a QR code that is scannable. And when you scan it, and anyone can do this, okay? So like say, I don't know, you get pulled over for a traffic violation. You're driving and you get pulled over. The way that that officer will know if you're a state national or not is through your ID card. And they scan it with their phone or whatever system. It works on a phone, like just with your camera, like you do when you go to the restaurants now and you want to look up your menu and they give you the QR codes and it pulls it up. It's the exact same. It works the exact same way. And it'll pull up all of your documents that you've signed that show that you are a legal state national, American state national. Okay. And everything, it brings up all the PDFs that they can click on and they see all your signatures, they see everything. Anywhere in the world, someone can do this if they have your identification card in front of them and they want to look. So this is how you are protected, and someone will know. It also will say on the card, I believe it says do not detain, because you're not part of their jurisdiction. You're now under the jurisdiction of the land and soil. That doesn't mean that you won't get pushback. That doesn't mean that you may not get some of that, okay? And that's another reason why you need to study the course, and understand common law, because we need to get back to a place where we're so well self-educated that you know how to defend yourself. Okay, we've relied too heavily on systems that don't really care about us to defend ourselves. And what ends up happening is that we get taken advantage of and we don't even know it. And so the only way to prevent that from happening is to really study and understand all this. Hence why it's so important to go through all of this information and really educate yourself first before you actually do the process. The other question that kind of came up was the whole taxes thing and everything. And I think it's important to understand that this isn't about not ever paying taxes again. It's about getting out of a system that uses your tax paying dollars to pay for very nefarious things, okay, that don't even go towards benefiting the services that you are asking for. I would, in the system, I would have no problem paying taxes to a system that is using it for the greater good of all those involved, and it's properly being elected upon. So that's what, it's just understanding this isn't about escaping a system because you just don't want to pay taxes and all of that kind of stuff. It's about escaping a system that is using your hard-earned money against you and making you pay double in many, or triple in many ways, and depleting your energy and your resources without ever giving anything really back to you, but telling you that they are. That's kind of how it works. And so I just kind of wanted to go over some of that so that you guys understand where to go to, because I understood from the video, from the comments under that video, that people weren't knowing exactly where to go or what to do. So I hope that this video helps at least outline some of the basics to get you started. For those of you in other countries, there are certain countries, I don't know which ones they are, that are already in the works of designing this system that is based on the particular one that America is using. Okay, the only way to find that out is the email that I showed you, that is under the Zoom calls. I believe it's info@theamericanstatesassembly.net, and ask for help and guidance on who to connect with. If you don't hear back, get on the Zoom calls, get in the chats. It's going to require a little bit more effort than just 1 or 2 clicks and then giving up. It's going to require some persistence, and it's going to require a little bit more time. And I'm working with some people, like I've been in talks with some people. We're trying to see if we can build a community where everyone can come together, and this is a little bit more streamlined. I do recognize that the people that have been putting this together have done incredible work. They really have. They work tirelessly. I talked to some of the people who are involved in this, and they're working 18-hour days. They're doing it for no money. They're doing it for the love of country, for the love of freedom, and for the love of humanity. So that being said, I can see that some of the younger energy coming into this right now would be useful to help streamline the whole process and get things into smaller bite-sized information, and also start building a community where everyone knows where to go and we can start talking together. So I am seeing if I'm working with some people right now, and I should say in talks with some people, to see how we go about doing that and get everyone all together. Okay, so oh, hey, Fearless. Good to see you. Oh, and Stan, Bodhisattva Love. Yes, to donate to that SIA course, SIA course, it's $2, $12, or $25. And this isn't about, trust me, guys, this isn't about like taking your money or whatever. Like, you have to understand, these processes it requires money. Like, that's how this world works right now. I all know we want like that utopia world where money's not here anymore, but that's not here yet. So again, and I've talked about this before on prior videos, how we do this is we start putting our money into systems that are benefiting humanity. That starts depleting the ones that are using it for corruption or nefarious reasons or for selfish reasons. And we start promoting our use of money through systems that are actually benefiting the world and others, and get us to that place where we're shifting the frequency of how money is being used, right? All through action, we work within the quantum manifestation system to do that. So let me just see here. It's my pleasure to do this. It's my pleasure to do this. There's so much information out there. There's so much to learn. Take your time going through it. Don't feel rushed in any way, in any which way. But what I understand that we need to understand is the system that we need to build together is one that's based on, this is what I was given in a download, it was freedom, self-governance, healing, and consciousness. Okay, those are the 4 pillars of the system that we need to really build upon and come together on. And self-governance is very important because we need to learn how to take care of ourselves. We can't be part of a codependent system because it's parasitic in nature. Okay, it's very depleting. And so we need to learn how to stand on our own 2 feet and then use our own energy to help one another in an interdependent way, in a way that doesn't take away from you or takes away from anyone else. Okay, it's all about benefiting all. And then healing is so important because we're literally operating under a shadow system, a system that's built on trauma and drama and shame and so much that we have to really focus on healing. Healing is so important so that we kind of bring in all of the parts of us that have been fractalized and the parts that we've disassociated from our past, that we need to bring in all those parts to make ourselves feel whole and bring in that sense of wholeness and wellness within self so that you're using that energetic field within you that is no longer fractalized, it's completely in union, and projecting it out into all of what you do. So healing is very essential in giving this the foundation that we need. And then consciousness, of course, constantly expanding your mind, expanding your awareness, allowing yourself room to be wrong is so important, allowing yourself room to learn, to consider other options, despite what you may feel about one thing, always leaving some room for expansion to know that there's maybe more that you need to learn in whatever areas of life, just in general. So having that ability to expand, to always be connected to source, and of course, freedom. Freedom is our birth-given right that's taken away from us pretty much as soon as that birth certificate's created. Yeah. But we all knew that coming into this life. We all knew what system we were engaging in. We all knew what we were getting ourselves into, and it was to help collapse the system. But remember, collapsing the system is not done in this kind of old revolutionary way that we see through fighting and all. That's not done that way. We want to avoid that at all costs. And, what we want is to collapse the system through pulling our energy back into us, no longer giving it so freely to other systems that harm us. Okay. And through that, just by recognizing the energy within yourself and how powerful you are to give it away or have it within self, and how you use that for your own benefit, and I say that in a way that it comes from a higher understanding, that when you benefit self from a place of higher understanding, you're also working to benefit others from a higher place. And how do those two work together in cohesion? So that's all I really wanted to say. I'm just going to say, does anyone have any questions that they'd like me to answer right now? If you do, just type question in capital letters and then what your question is so I can find it really quickly. I'm just going to scroll through and see. Oh, Maz, thank you so much for the donation. Fascinating, Nicole. Love this presentation. Thank you so much for that super chat. I really appreciate it. I didn't see that while I was doing the other stuff. Mary, do you think shielding helps to protect yourself from parasites? Okay, so that's a great question, Mary. The way I kind of look at this is I'm hesitant to say you need to put up a protective shield because it goes under the assumption that you're being attacked. And I think it's important that we disassociate and disconnect from that kind of thinking because it disempowers us. The way I like to look at it is as a sovereign being who is in total control of your own field. What do you like to do to keep yourself healthy? Well, you like to eat healthy food. You'll take a shower to stay clean. You may exercise to keep your muscles strong. From that perspective, you are also strengthening your energetic shield, which then is keeping it less porous and less penetrable by other things that may want to come in that you would rather didn't, right? And knowing that if something is trying to come in, you may, the stronger you are in your own energetic awareness and your field of creation, you'll be able to recognize when something's coming in. And you can say, no, stopping at the door saying, this house is not open to you. You are not welcome here. And it's not from a place of fear, but just from a declaration of sovereignty. That's all it should come from, that kind of energy. So I tried to explain that to any of my clients and also those of you in my alchemy program. It's just important to have that mindset so that you're not in a place where you're feeling like you're under attack, because that already disempowers you. And I'm not saying, Mary, that you were implying that. I'm just saying that just because I know that's sometimes what people are understanding. Okay. What is a parasitic system? Well, I think I explained that at the beginning, but a parasitic system is codependent. A parasitic system needs a host in order to thrive. So when a parasite comes in, it's needing someone else to give it its energy. It does not create its own energy. So we as humans can create our own energy to survive and thrive. We don't need other systems to depend upon. We work in harmony with our own creation system. So like, for instance, I don't need to take from you in order to survive. A parasitic system needs someone else in order to thrive and survive. Okay? So that's really important. And a parasite will always put its needs before yours. And that's kind of the system that we're looking at. Okay, Rainbow Sun 777. Do you think it's all coming to us organically? It has come across my awareness from so many different sources recently that it must be. When you say what's coming to us organically, what do you mean by, what is it exactly that you're referring to? I just need a clarification on that. I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question correctly. I don't want to answer it incorrectly. Smanji, I like to live my life as a 5 or 6-year-old boy and have fun while still being my own parent that protects, loves me, and keeps me on track. I think that's great. I think embracing some of that child energy that we disconnect from as adults is so important, because that inner child is always a part of us. You're welcome, Mary. You're welcome, Ninon. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but Ninondor. Oh, the system we're learning about now, Rainbow Sevens. Okay. Do I think it's coming to us all organically? Well, I mean, it came to me very organically. It came to me through a very deep synchronicity. I know that this was brought into my awareness for a reason. I wasn't seeking it out. I mean, at least I wasn't seeking this system out particularly. I was just kind of asking my guides, like, of how to, what do I need to do? And then this system was brought into my awareness through someone else, through a very synchronistic event that happened in Sedona. I talked about that. And so for me, yeah, it came through very organically. I do believe that as we raise our own consciousness and as we start asking for help, because we're free will beings. So when you ask for help to your guides, to your higher self, to the universe, God, whoever it is that you're communicating with, source energy, when you are communicating and asking for help, then yeah, these things will come into your field of awareness through various synchronicities. And that doesn't mean that that's a hard yes on where you're supposed to go. But it means that it's worth looking into to understand, because remember, you're a free will being. Just because something's placed on your path doesn't necessarily mean it's the route to go, but it could be leading to another door, which could lead to another door. So it's just very important to have a strong connection with yourself to source energy, so that you're always having that connection of divine spirited will working through you. Maz, how do you think you have dealt with this parasitic system, Nicole? Well, it's that's a great question. I have been working diligently and sometimes not as diligently. I'll be very honest with you guys, because I'm human, and sometimes I get pulled into the dramas and the stuff that's kind of going on. But I've been working hard in at different points to disconnect from a lot of the dramas and perhaps even some of the different conspiracies out there, which again, some of those are true. I'm not, this isn't about knocking that. Just that I want to stay aware of where my energy is going to. And am I in alignment with what my heart desires to create for me in this moment, in this lifetime, that is also very often in alignment with the higher needs of the community, of the collective. When you're working from a place of higher good for self, you're almost always working for the higher self of the collective as well. The two, it's very difficult I don't even think you can disconnect from those two, actually, because knowing that you're connected, but remember, you can't help others until you've helped yourself. So understanding how to create that within yourself and serve the greater good from a higher place of your own self. I just pay attention to where my energy is going to, where my focus is, like what kind of videos am I watching, what information am I consuming, what am I reading, who are the people in my lives. Like I've had to disconnect from certain people in my life over the last few years. Different friendships have gone to the wayside, other kinds of relationships. And it's just because the energy isn't in alignment with, it's been codependent in nature. And I've actually had to even disconnect from certain clients that have become codependent with me in coaching. And that's not very many. It's only like less than like just a couple. But I say that because I'm dedicated to not being part of a codependent system. And when I recognize that happening, even with a client, I terminate services only because I'm not helping them anymore. And I know that this isn't working and I can't be engaged in that. As soon as I recognize that any kind of relationship is codependent, I offer a solution to create it more interdependently. And if that's not agreed upon or if that's not worked upon, then I disengage. And I stop giving my energy to that relationship and I kind of just block it out. And I've had to do that with some people that I care very deeply for. I still care about them very deeply, but the only way to live authentically and in the vibration that is to the alignment of your highest good is to recognize that sometimes you have to make tough choices that don't always feel good in the moment. I hope that answers that question, Maz. Okay, so Rainbow Sun, many people you follow now are speaking about this. No doubts, it's just surreal. Yeah, I'm actually, it's interesting. Once you learn about something like this, you're like, how does anyone else not know? But then I think, well, I didn't know for like the longest time. And I actually know this system was put in front of me back in 2016, 2017. I would go to the Operation Disclosure website and I remember seeing a ton of stuff by Anna Von Reitz and I just never really opened it. I was like, oh, who is that woman? Who is that woman? And it kept going by and I never engaged. I guess I just wasn't ready for the information at the time. It wasn't time yet or for whatever reason. And that's why we can't judge anyone on their own path or how they get to where they are. But that's just kind of where I was with that. Susan Matz, show and feel sincere gratitude, be of sincere service, feel your own energy, ebbs and flows. Yeah, absolutely. The state of gratitude is your 0 point field. It's how you shift your timelines. It's how, being there. It's a very powerful state of being. Hey, Tyler, good to see you here. So yeah. Oh, guys. Okay, so I'm in the works to try to bring you some more information on all of this that I've been finding and see if I can help. But just, again, use the information that I've given you today to help guide you. Again, this is going to be something that you determine on your own if this is the right path for you. I'm not here to convince you this is the way, By no means is this me trying to convince you. I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm just here to offer information, let you know what my opinions are, what I'm thinking, and then let you guys take it and do with it whatever you want or wish to or not do with it. Like that's how this works. So, that's been one of my greatest lessons through the whole awakening process, is to know that I don't want to step on anyone else's path. And I don't want to push anything on anyone that they're not ready for. And we're all, I think, working towards the same goal, but all of our paths to get there may be a little different. And some of us are going to travel along the same path together, and maybe we'll fork off and then meet again. Like, who knows? But just staying open to all that is super important. Tyler, I'm not convinced. Okay, good. I'm glad that they answered Maz P. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your Saturday. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you feel inclined to share the video, I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Thank you guys all for your support. And if you need a community, or you want to be part of a community that's already growing, my alchemy program has a ton of supportive people in there that are working towards self-expansion, self-love, supporting one another, lifting people up. And also helping people through healing. So it's if you're interested, that community is already available for you, and the link for that is in the description below. Guys, I love you so much. Have a wonderful week. And Maz, thank you again for another donation. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much for the super chat. I love you guys so much.